Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish on the Movies, and I just want to say hello to the girl at who likes Captain America at Bed Bath and Beyond. So thank you for helping me with my purchase of my steamer. So anyway, today we are talking about spoilers for the movie The Peanut Butter Solution,
Your favorite movie
the
of the
most
year.
bizarre and weird movie I have ever seen. It's not like it's bizarrely bad, but it's weird. I just can't. I just don't know what to say. I think you should even watch it. I'll recommend you to watch it just for the heck of it because what does
It's
that
fun.
even mean? I mean, just
It's fun.
when somebody tells you it's called the peanut butter solution, what comes to your mind? We already went through all of this for me and for Marco, what we thought when we
It's
heard
fun.
the title.
It's a
It's fun.
hair-raising comedy adventure for kids and the whole family.
not not so we're doing spoilers, which I don't really care for a lot
Why?
because Marco seems to like them. So I'll give you one spoiler. Remember, we talked about what happened. The boy put this peanut butter solution, what isn't a solution, it's a paste, a thick, viscous stuff on his forehead, on his head, on all of his head, so he could get regrow hair because these ghosts of these homeless people appeared to him and gave him the recipe. And so when he did, for the first batch got messed up, the second batch, and they had to appear to him again and go, "What the heck? Why didn't you put that on?" And then he told them what happened, and they gave the recipe to him again because he forgot what it was. And when he put it on, he put too much peanut butter in it. And they had warned him. They didn't say what was going to happen, but they said it would not be a good thing if he put too much. And I think he thought, well, if he put in a little bit more than what they said, it would work better. Which that's not hard to
It's
believe.
because it's because he put the recommended amount on, and it seemed like it would only do so much for a certain area, and so like he felt he had to put a bunch on and make sure to get like an even coating of what his head would have as the hair, where the hair would be. And so instead of that, I guess it would have just magically grown to begin with. But
So anyway, we said, well, we did say what happened. He grew too much hair. I believe we said that. And
yeah,
I'm not saying, oh, it went to his shoulders or it got really thick. I'm talking about it grew and it grew and it grew. I mean, not like, really long in a week. I'm talking about by the minute. And it was just, and you could see the hair moving.
we were actually saying it would have been a good idea, since this is a kids movie, that the hair would talk.
Well, he thought that was a good idea. I don't know about me.
Well, we discussed it, and you said, "Oh, that'd be really good."
The,
So,
the thing about,
like, what would make this movie better? Because it's clear that this movie has issues. I mean, even I like the movie. I think that it's an interesting movie, but is it really a good movie? Did it succeed with what it wanted to do?
no,
I don't think so, because the director said the message of this movie is when something scares you, just find out what it is logically. Like, just pull back the curtain, and you'll see that it wasn't really scary in the first place. I don't see that at all, because in this movie, the person who's scary is the senor, and what they treat it to be is the person who's scary is these homeless people who, by the way, I don't think they even spoke a single word to him when they were alive. So how could they be scary at all to him? He has no connection to them. Just because he gives
I
them a
thought one of
little
them.
money,
I thought one of them was for to the kid. I thought you
the
meant the
kid.
senior. Oh, yeah,
No,
I know.
but the kid, he just gives him money. The guy looks at him. He looks back a little. That's it. There's no talking anything. And it would have been fine if they would have said, "Oh, you remember those homeless people that always like were really mean to us and really scary?" Like you could have shown like an encounter where they were really scary and like heckling these kids, but no, they're just sitting there like half asleep because they're starving to death, and so there's nothing scary about them.
No,
But
not at all.
then you have the senor. He literally gets fired because there's a kid in his class having nightmares because he told him to put up the drawing of the scary dog in his bedroom so he could go to sleep and have nightmares. He's the one who's scary in this movie.
Yes, and just to be clear,
That's never dealt with.
the senor is a teacher in the kids' school who teaches art.
Is he really a good teacher? I don't think so.
No, he's not because, well, maybe nobody wants to know. It's just the fact that an art teacher shouldn't be going around trying to change what people are doing. They should be, art is subjective, and as an art teacher or an artist himself, which apparently he was, you know that. So why would you prevent children who are trying to teach art about and change what they're doing when you wouldn't want anybody to do that to your own work?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point. The biggest spoiler of the movie, I'll say, and then Marco can elaborate all he wants. The fact is, what happens is he's growing all his hair. Now he won't go to school because, well, he started off, but then it started growing at school right in the classroom, and people are going, his hair's moving. And so he just didn't go back. But what happened is he gets kidnapped. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's really weird. He just kind of disappears, and I don't know, it's just the way it was handled, it was odd. And then we find out that like 22 kids have also disappeared. And I'm like, what? Nobody's even talking about that. And my God. And then it made me think of the Atlanta child murders and this other show that's been on TV called Mindhunter. They actually, one of the cases they covered was the Atlanta child murders. That says, I mean, when you have that many children, and these are just children missing, they don't know if they've been murdered, they don't know where they are, what happened to them. The city is Quebec in Canada, and it's Quebec. Wait a minute, now I'm not even sure. Is that right? Well, anyway, so if it doesn't matter if you have 22 children who turned up missing. It would be like an international story. And it's when the kid gets kidnapped or he's missing, we don't know what's happened to him. You just then you hear about these other kids, and like it would be the parents would be keeping their kids inside. They'd be watching them 24 hours a day. They'd be so afraid that their kids would get kidnapped. And the police would be all over the place. The press would be everywhere, and that you don't even hardly hear about, even after he
You
gets
don't hear
taken.
about it at all except by the dad.
Yeah,
and that comes to the art dealer. He's like literally openly admitting he doesn't care if his brother is kidnapping these kids as long as he keeps getting these great paintings.
and that's what the other spoiler is. The senor, who was the art teacher, is the one kidnapping the kids. And I don't know if Marco wants to go into the rest of the spoilers to do with this, but it's just bizarre. Just that fact alone.
You have Dr. Epstein.
We have that. There's somebody in there named Dr. Epstein, which is bizarre.
Which makes this
because
movie
of what's
even
been going on.
worse.
Yeah, but that's just a coincidence. Anyway, so that the story is then it grows his hair, just grows,
And then he gets kidnapped.
He gets kidnapped along with 22 other children, and guess what? He gets kidnapped by the same person, and they're all in the same building doing something for this senor.
They're all making paintings. they're all making paintbrushes. I mean, out of his hair,
The
and
boy's hair, the one who's excessively growing.
and then the senor takes them and he makes magical paintings. And
With the paintbrushes.
and one of the things that we'd like to talk about is how when there's this sequence in the movie where they play the theme song by Celine Dion that Safi doesn't like.
No,
I like it. I think it goes well with this movie.
I don't.
But it's actually one of the only things that's good about the movie. Like genuinely good. Like if you take this out and you remade Peanut Butter Solution, you'd still keep this as one of the things. But there's this sequence where the main kid's best friend is in the senor's van and he's trailing the way for the kid's sister to follow along and see where they're keeping him, where he's keeping him and all the other kids. And on the way, the song plays as well. For some reason, there are these homeless people that are standing on corners and they're shouting, "Yeah! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!" And they're holding their arm up and like fist bumping her and she's like really excited and looking at them like, "Ooh, thank you. Ooh, yeah. I'm on this race to do something exciting and oh yeah, thanks." And it's really weird.
What it reminded me of is with, I'm from Kansas City, and when the Royals won the World Series, or any other cities around Chicago, anywhere, where they're having like a parade, and everybody's cheering from the sides,
And a
this
float
girl,
comes by.
and that's what was going on. The girl was riding her bike, and these people, here and there, it's not crowd, it's just here and there, these few people, and they're yay and cheering, and like what? Who are these people? Why are they cheering her? They don't even know what she's doing. That was bizarre too.
They don't even look like homeless people. They just look like old people. And then also, I don't know why they're trying to make these homeless people look so friendly. Because I think that the last thing that kids should be thinking about is going up to a homeless person.
Why?
You think the kids should go up to a homeless person and go off with them?
No, not go anywhere with them. Give them money or
No,
give them
I don't
food
I
or
don't
whatever.
I don't think that's good for kids to do that. And so this movie's kind of saying like that all homeless people, they're all really friendly and they're cheerful people. None of them are dangerous. None of them have diseases and all that kind of stuff. Like no, none of that exists. They're homeless people. They're all nice and they're all like wizards like or something. Like they're really nice people and in this movie they just all magically know what she's doing.
Well, that's the point. They don't, and anyway, I should clarify that kids shouldn't be going up to any stranger.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they're homeless or not. So sorry about that. I wasn't thinking properly, and I would never want any children to just go up to any. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just nobody that should be going up because you just don't know what could happen. And here we have 22 people have been kidnapped, including that little boy whose hair can't stop growing.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're following the friend of the boy is in the van. He has like flour. Is it flour or sugar? And
That doesn't matter.
And whatever it is, it's white and it makes a trail. So the girl's on her bicycle, the sister, following the trail. And then what happens? Was it start raining?
The street cleaners cleaning the road.
That's right. And so what happens? They cleaned up the trail. She can't follow the trail. She doesn't know where the little boy, her friend, went.
And they say after that it takes her to find it for like a week. And now, first off, we'd like to talk. Well, I don't know how many firsts we can have on here, but I guess next off we're talking about Michael's dad, the main character, his dad, he's the most irresponsible person in the movie. He's so irresponsible he doesn't do their taxes. The little kid daughter, she's like 10, 13, she's doing the taxes. She's making dinner. She's doing this, she's doing that. And the dad is just sitting around painting. And so it's so weird how then, as soon as Michael's gone, he immediately becomes like
A parent.
an Avenger and goes after to try to figure out what happened. And so I thought that was very strange, very unrealistic, and kind of stupid because it just that's another rule too, right? You don't want to have adults solving the problems in kids movies, and I think that's an example.
Okay, well, I think Marco found a video somebody had made where it turns it into a horror movie. And
That was
like,
a trailer.
oh, it was
Someone
a trailer.
recut the trailer to make it advertised as horror.
And it really worked.
Yeah, it works.
It was so much better. The movie would have been so much better if they made a few tweaks and changed the music.
The problem is, these people who made it, they don't see any of this stuff as scary. They see it as like, ooh, this is whimsical and it's weird and fun and adventurous. Like when the kid is wearing a wig and the whole soccer team pulls his wig off and they all chase him and laugh at him for wearing a wig. and and then you have these homeless people. They're really mean. One of them refuses to give him the recipe, and then all of a sudden, a couple of nights later, they give him the recipe. And a lot of this stuff, it can be explained in an analysis video, and that's why I'm doing the analysis videos, because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that you could just explain if you put, I'll use a kid's term here, if you put your thinking cap on. And then let's get to the finale. The quote finale, by the way, because it wasn't very much of a finale, in my opinion. When they all make their escape, and the Senor turns into Heisenberg.
Oh, I'll let you.
Just the Senor in general, he has no character.
They rescue everybody, and how did they get his hair to stop growing? Oh, he went back into
it's because he goes in the painting.
Right, he goes, and he can go into these paintings.
And
they're magical.
Yeah, and he discovers that what scared him in the first place was the two homeless people.
The ghost of them.
Makes no sense at all, by the way, and so that's what makes his hair stop growing.
Yeah, by kind of like jumping into the painting, like realizing his fear and that he shouldn't have been afraid, and then his hair stops growing.
I think he should have been afraid because I don't know what the conditions would be like, but if you went into somewhere like that where it was just on fire the day before or the night before, it would be very gruesome. And it would be dangerous, just like everything, like the smells and everything too, and the vapors maybe.
Yeah, because what he did originally, like we said, he climbed up into this place was just on fire the night before.
Yeah.
Okay? People were in the place and they died, and so he goes, but it's not. The thing hasn't destructed enough where you can't go into it. So he kind of climbs up and he goes into like the top floor, which is really bad. That would, if the floors could collapse.
And jumps down.
And jumps in there, and all of a sudden he shoots out like somebody shot him out of a cannon, which it didn't look. I'm not kidding. He didn't jump. He didn't fall out. It was like he was shot out of a cannon in the building, and he
that part
shot
was
out.
stupid. I'm sorry, but that part was really dumb.
And like, what the heck happened? And how could that happen? So, anyway, this is like a forensic or what do you call it, the coroner, like their worst nightmare. I've read about this kind of thing where, in fact, they just had a boat fire yet a couple of days ago in Southern California where all these people died on this boat, and they have to identify the people. You're talking about charred remains.
That has nothing to do with what
Well,
we're
yeah, it would,
discussing.
because there'd be charred remains there.
You really
in the
think the
house.
remains would still be there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Safi.
Well, if that much of the house remained enough that he could go up there, go in, and then shoot out like he was shot out of a cannon.
Usually they take the bodies out when they arrive there. They take them in ambulances.
Well, it wouldn't have, I don't think it would have happened 2 seconds because, well, anyway, we're just overthinking it, and so it doesn't matter.
With the senor as a character, it does matter actually. But with the senor as a character, what's his character, Safi? Remember the teacher says it's really weird. The senor, he's this creepy and evil guy.
Well, he's mean. The kids go in there. He says, "Okay, I want you to paint this picture.
Draw a picture of my dog." And then he goes around and he starts tearing up pictures because they're not realistic enough.
Well, he doesn't.
But the thing is that a couple of days later, he gets pulled into the principal's office, and she says, it's really weird. It's like an expose or an intervention or something, a confrontation, because she all of a sudden she's like, I've been doing some digging on you, and I've been keeping an eye on you all along. I heard that you've changed your appearance multiple times. You've been kicked out of several schools. You fake famous paintings. It's this really weird stuff.
And that
and
like,
happen. What?
That wouldn't happen because the teacher would have been... That would have been on their record, and I mean, he would never have been hired in the first place.
You claim to be the long-lost son of Rembrandt? And just this weird, random stuff. And it, like, has nothing to do with his character at all. Like, so where is that? It's almost like they're trying to make that, like, his motivation. Like, oh, he's this really mysterious con man. But the thing is that he kidnaps over 20 kids and is a creepy weirdo, and it has nothing to do with him being like a con man and everything, and so they never really explain anything to him. They really weird stuff with how he's related to everyone. He's got a brother who's the art dealer. He's got a brother who's one of the homeless people. By the way, did you know that?
Yep.
And then he's got the other brother who's Dr. Epstein. Of course, we don't want to talk about that one. And so, like, what is up with that? And the fact that if they're all of his brothers, then what is this deal with changing his appearance? If he changed his appearance, why would he be living in the same city with all of his brothers like that? It makes no sense. There's a lot of like little plot holes in this movie that kind of take out of the fun of watching this movie. Even if you were a kid watching this movie, you would be like, oh, what am I supposed to think from all this? Because at the end of the day, this is the not kids movie month. Basically, we look at these movies that are kind of for kids, but kind of aren't. And we talk about, is this really a kid's movie? And I don't think this is a kid's movie. Because if I was a kid and I saw this, I'd be really freaked out and weirded out. Like, what is this? Is this like some sort of an experimental film or something? Like, what is this? What is it trying to say?
Yeah. And the reason why it was made was apparently, Marco said that they had had a lot of suicides.
That's about the film production company. But
it was in response to that, to, I guess, make people happier.
I don't think that this movie is going to make people happier. Because when you watch this movie, was it a downer? Wasn't it a Debbie
It was
Downer?
just weird. I can't. I
It's
guess so.
weird.
It's weird because it was weirdly bad. So anyway, I think we should wrap it up.
Oh, well, you should check out my rewrite. Everyone who's watching this, check out my rewrite. It's much better than the actual movie.
Well, I think you should check out that trailer that the fan made where they turned it into a horror movie.
Well, check out my rewrite first because it's better. And then check out the non-spoil, and because we don't want to promote other people's channels,
Why not?
because they suck. We're the only good channel around, Safi. And so, and check out our non-spoiler review. Just click on our channel and find the review. It's a pretty good review. Safi goes into the plot a little bit too much as usual, but it's a pretty good review. And then subscribe to our channel so that you can continue seeing the rest of these Not Kids Movie Month movies. Because we're going to be doing Garbage Pail Kids. We're going to be doing all those Big Top Pee Wee, all these Good Boys. I finally have to see Good Boys because I've had stiff neck now for a while, so I have not been able to see Good Boys, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have already had the review up. So, goodbye, everybody!
Bye, everybody.